What's up, family? It's your boy PW, aka the Hope Pusher. Shout out to all the Hope Pushers out there, everybody pushing hope. Much love to you guys. Certainly pray that you guys are doing well and that you guys are enjoying your weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend. Shout out to all the mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day weekend. It is Saturday morning. It's about 6:30. I've been up since 4. And I know a lot of folks will say, well, listen, I saw you post on Facebook about 3, right? That's right. Team no sleep. Hadn't even been to sleep. Going to leave from here, going to get with my boy Curtis Cross, and we're going to head out to Savannah, Georgia. We'll be in Savannah, Georgia, then Brunswick, Georgia on today. So, yeah, that's the life of the Hope Pusher. What can I say? But on a more, another note, I should say, I noticed something the other day, and it just, I don't know, it bothered me, right? It kind of bothered me. And here's what I noticed the other day. As a young boy, I remember growing up, I remember my dad taking me to get a haircut. Like, it's such a small thing, right? It's a small thing. It's not really even a big thing, but I remember growing up, my dad taking me to get a haircut. And I remember how special that felt. Like, at 33 years old, I remember me as a kid, my dad taking me to get a haircut. That was like a special moment. That was a special bonding moment. Like when your dad takes you to get a haircut, that's a guy thing, right? You bonding with your pops. And I remember getting my hair cut, and I remember the guy back then, in the country, like we go to someone's house and you sitting on the front porch, you get your hair cut. That's what we do, right? And so I remember I'm sitting on the front porch and all the guys are around and they're having the guy talk. And I remember how special I felt being in that environment. I was with my dad, and I'm getting a haircut and around all these other guys, and Dad is protecting me. And Dad is paying attention to me because he's making sure that the barber is not messing up my head. So even though he's having a conversation with the guys, he's also paying attention. And Dad got me. And I remember the barber, he was telling me he was getting ready to do a tape-up, right? He said, all right, now, he said, it may bite a little bit. So make sure, just try to hold still. And I remember my dad walking over there to me, and my dad put his hand on my shoulder like, yo, son, it's all right. I remember how safe I felt and how tough I wanted to be for Dad, right? That was a special bonding moment. That was a special moment. And so when I go to the barbershop now as an adult and I see females bringing their sons to the barbershop, and I'm saying, yo, these men, they're missing it. They're missing that bonding moment with their son. Like, it's a bonding moment. A female should never, every once in a while, okay, I can understand you have to take your son to the barbershop. But pretty much for the most part, a female should never have to take her son to the barbershop. She should never have to. Like, that's the dude thing, man. Like, I remember how special I felt when my dad would take me to get a haircut. So I want to say something to all the fellas. I know it's Mother's Day weekend, but fellas, listen, don't miss that bonding moment with your son. Take your son to the barbershop. I promise you, your son will never forget those moments of going to the barbershop with his dad. I hadn't been to the barbershop with my dad in probably 20 years, but I would never forget my dad taking me to get a haircut. I would never forget those bonding moments, those special moments when my dad took me to get a haircut. That's a special moment. Fellas, let's step our game up. Take your son to get a haircut. There are no excuses for not being in your child's life. Take your son to get a haircut. I promise you, I guarantee you, your son will remember those moments for the rest of their lives. I remember a couple years ago, a lady friend of mine, I was on the way to the barbershop, and I saw her at the store, and she was about to take her son to the barbershop, the same one I go to. And she asked me, she said, well, will you take my son to the barbershop? I said, sure, ain't no problem. I'm going that way anyway. So I took her son to the barbershop, and of course, it was a bonding moment for me and this young man. And so we actually got to the barbershop, and, we had the guy talk at the barbershop, and he got a fresh cut, fresh tape up, because he want that sharp tape up like I get. And, it was a bonding moment. And here's the thing. When I see her to this day, she always say, my son still talk about when y'all went to the barbershop. 2 years later, he's still talking about one time when we went to the barbershop. It's that big of a deal for young men. It's that big of a deal. Fellas, don't miss the moment of taking your son to the barbershop. Peace, man.